Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel.
Finally, after years of emotional turmoil, public scrutiny, and personal growth, Meri Brown took a bold step into her newfound happiness by marrying her loving boyfriend in an intimate yet breathtaking ceremony that symbolized not just a new chapter but a triumphant reclaiming of her joy and self-worth. The wedding, held at a picturesque vineyard under a golden sunset, was a far cry from the chaotic dynamics of her past plural marriage, radiating instead an air of serenity, love, and celebration, qualities that had often felt elusive during her time with the Brown family. Meri, glowing in an elegant lace gown that hugged her curves gracefully, walked down the aisle to the soft strumming of an acoustic guitar, her eyes shimmering with tears of happiness as she locked gazes with her soon-to-be husband, a man who had shown her the kind of unwavering devotion and respect she had longed for. Her new partner, a successful entrepreneur with a gentle demeanor, stood waiting at the altar, his smile warm and reassuring, a stark contrast to the often strained interactions that had defined her previous marriage. Friends and family, those who had stood by her through the public unraveling of her relationship with Kody, filled the rows of white chairs, their faces alight with joy and relief that Meri had finally found the love she deserved. Among the guests, however, was one particularly unexpected attendee, Kody Brown himself, the man whose emotional neglect and public dismissals had once left Meri feeling isolated and heartbroken. His presence at the wedding was a decision that had sparked intense debate among fans and even within Meri's inner circle. Why invite the ex who had caused so much pain? Yet, for Meri, the choice was a deliberate one, a testament to her growth and her desire to fully close the door on that chapter of her life with grace, not bitterness. She had extended the invitation not as an olive branch for reconciliation, but as a symbolic gesture of release, a way to demonstrate that she had moved beyond the resentment and could wish him well even as she embraced her own happiness. Kody, dressed in a subdued suit, sat quietly during the ceremony, his expression unreadable. Was it regret, nostalgia, or simply awkward discomfort? Perhaps a mix of all three. He had, after all, spent years dismissing Meri's attempts to reconnect, famously declaring their relationship over long before she had been ready to accept it, and his presence now was a silent acknowledgement of the complicated history they shared. The reception that followed was a lively affair, with laughter, heartfelt toasts, and dancing under strings of twinkling lights. Meri and her new husband shared their first dance to a soulful ballad, their chemistry undeniable, their joy infectious. Meanwhile, Kody lingered at the periphery, exchanging polite but strained small talk with former sister wives and mutual acquaintances, a ghost of the past in a room brimming with new beginnings. Christine and Janelle, who had also moved on from their marriages to Kody, were in attendance, their presence a show of solidarity for Meri, proof that sisterhood could outlast even the most fractured of relationships. The three women shared a poignant moment together, a silent acknowledgement of the trials they had endured and the brighter futures they had each claimed for themselves. As the night progressed, Meri made a point to briefly speak with Kody, her tone kind but firm, her words carrying no malice but also no lingering attachment. It was a conversation that lasted mere minutes but held the weight of decades, an unspoken acknowledgement that while their shared history would always be a part of her story, it no longer defined her. Kody, for his part, offered a stiff congratulations, his pride perhaps preventing him from fully expressing whatever emotions simmered beneath the surface. The wedding, in many ways, was more than just a union of two people, it was a declaration of Meri's resilience. After years of feeling like an afterthought in Kody's life, she had not only found love but had also reclaimed her agency, her voice, and her confidence. The decision to invite Kody, controversial as it may have seemed, was ultimately a reflection of her strength. She was no longer the woman who waited for scraps of attention, but one who could face her past with her head held high, unshaken by its shadows. Social media erupted with reactions to the wedding, fans divided between those who applauded Meri's grace and those who questioned the wisdom of including Kody in her special day. Yet, for Meri, the opinions of outsiders mattered little. This day was hers, a celebration of love, closure, and the beautiful unpredictability of life's second chances. As she danced the night away, surrounded by love and light, it was clear that this wedding was not just an ending, but a radiant new beginning, one where Meri Brown, at long last, was the undeniable star of her own story. Meri Brown, the first wife of Kody Brown from Sister Wives, has had one of the most complicated, emotional, and publicly scrutinized journeys in reality television history, and fans have followed every step of her transformation since the early days of the TLC series, when she was the quiet, loyal partner who often faded into the background, to the woman who decided to stand tall, carve her own path, and embrace love outside of the plural marriage structure that defined her for decades, and now. The story has taken a shocking and triumphant turn, because Meri has finally tied the knot with her new boyfriend in a ceremony that has left fans buzzing, family members reacting with a mixture of shock and cautious celebration, and Kody himself standing in the audience as an invited guest, a twist no one could have predicted considering the years of tension, neglect, and disconnection between the two. The path to this moment was not easy. Meri endured years of feeling like she was on the margins of her own marriage, as Kody's interest drifted away from her, and the emotional fallout of the catfishing scandal in 2015 only deepened the cracks in their relationship, making her feel isolated and unloved within the plural family unit. Yet even while she carried those wounds, Meri quietly started to rebuild herself, working on her businesses, strengthening her bond with her child Leon, rediscovering friendships, and learning to love herself again. And over time, the woman who once cried on camera about her loneliness transformed into someone who walked with a quiet confidence, who could smile without waiting for Kody's approval, and who wasn't afraid to dream about a future that didn't revolve around his attention. Enter her new boyfriend, a man outside of the Sister Wives world, who fans only learned about through cryptic Instagram posts at first, then through sightings of Meri in new cities, looking happier and freer than ever, and finally through her own subtle admissions that she was dating someone who saw her, valued her, and respected her in a way she hadn't experienced in years. This boyfriend didn't just treat her like a backup option, didn't dismiss her emotions, and didn't make her feel like she had to compete with other women for love. Instead, he embraced her independence, cheered her entrepreneurial spirit, and helped her see that love could be gentle and supportive instead of conditional and harsh. The relationship blossomed in a way that surprised everyone, including Meri herself, and when the news broke that she was engaged, it felt like a full-circle moment not just for her but for longtime viewers who had rooted for her happiness after watching her endure so much heartache on screen. The wedding itself was held in a picturesque outdoor setting, far away from the desert landscapes of Flagstaff and the stress of Coyote Pass. Instead, Meri chose a venue that symbolized peace and rebirth, filled with greenery, soft lights, and intimate touches that reflected her personal growth, and in a move that stunned even her closest friends, she sent an invitation to Kody Brown, the man she once loved but who publicly admitted he no longer had romantic feelings for her, the man who told cameras that he didn't consider himself married to her anymore, the man who seemed to dismiss her pain so casually, yet still the father of her child and the person who had been a central figure in her life for over 3 decades. Why invite Kody? That was the question fans debated as the news spread, but for Meri, it wasn't about rekindling old wounds, it was about closure, about rewriting the narrative, about showing that she could stand in her joy without bitterness, and perhaps about extending a hand of peace in a way that Kody himself had often failed to do with her. When the day arrived, Meri walked down the aisle in a gown that radiated elegance and maturity, her face glowing with the kind of happiness fans hadn't seen in years, while her new husband stood waiting, eyes locked on her with a devotion that was unmistakable. And as the ceremony unfolded, the cameras, because of course, TLC was there to capture this history-making moment, panned to Kody, who sat with a stiff smile, clearly uncomfortable yet visibly aware that he was watching something monumental. The woman he had sidelined was moving forward, fully, completely, without him. Some fans speculated that Kody agreed to attend out of pride, others thought Robin encouraged him to go in an attempt to save face, but whatever the reason, his presence didn't overshadow the event. In fact, it highlighted how far Meri had come, that she could invite him, stand before him, and still shine without any trace of hesitation. After the vows were exchanged and the kiss sealed the marriage, the reception turned into a celebration not just of love but of resilience, with heartfelt speeches, joyful dancing, and even a few Brown family members mingling together despite years of division. Christine and Janelle, who had both left Kody themselves, reportedly reached out to Meri with messages of congratulations, showing that the Sister Wives bond could exist beyond the framework of sharing a husband, and even Leon stood proudly beside their mother, looking happier than ever to see her embraced by a partner who loved her without conditions. Social media lit up instantly, with fans writing that Meri's wedding was the ultimate revenge against years of neglect, while others framed it as an inspiring reminder that it's never too late to find love, to start fresh, and to write your own happy ending. In interviews following the ceremony, Meri herself expressed that this was less about proving anything to Kody and more about honoring herself, about finally stepping into the life she wanted instead of the life she was given, and she admitted that inviting Kody was her way of putting the past behind her, of showing that there was no hatred left, only lessons learned. For Kody, the wedding may have been humbling. Fans noted how subdued he appeared, almost as if he realized that Meri had found the kind of peace he could never give her, and some even suggested that seeing her so radiant might have sparked regret, though whether Kody is capable of admitting regret is another debate entirely. What cannot be denied is that Meri's wedding was more than just a personal milestone. It was a cultural moment for Sister Wives fans, a symbol of liberation, and a testament to resilience. The woman who once sat in tears on a couch, begging for scraps of attention, now stood as a bride in control of her story, holding hands with a man who cherished her, surrounded by people who cheered for her, and even with her former husband watching, she radiated joy so undeniable that not even the shadow of the past could dim it. And that is why this wedding will go down in Sister Wives history as one of the most powerful moments of the series. Meri Brown finally got her happy ending, and she did it on her own terms.